Hey everybody, welcome to Musicians Musings. This is the place where we reflect, learn, grow, and just have fun as musicians in ministry. I'm Zeke.
And I'm Zay.
Welcome to today's podcast, How to Learn Songs.
Good morning, everybody. It's currently Sunday afternoon when we're recording this. It's been a while since we've released an episode. It's been, I think, roughly a month. I think it might have been slightly over a month. It's good to be back. Sorry about the long pause. I know I had a couple people reach out to me asking if we decided this wasn't for us, and that was not the case, partly just because we were lazy.
I would say mostly.
Yeah, mainly because we were lazy, but also because me and Zeke's schedules don't line up that often to be able to sit down and record an actual...
Unless it's like at 3 a.m.
Yeah, which I'm the old guy, and so I like getting to bed like 10:30 preferably, but not always the case. But today we're going to do part 1 of how to learn songs, and then we're going to release a part 2 next week. Part 1, what that will entail is our process of breaking down songs, how we learn them.
And part 2 is going to be us learning a song live for you guys, whether that's a super simple song or a song we already know.
Yeah, and if it's a song we know, it'll probably be an older one, maybe that we haven't went over in a while, especially together, just to kind of give you an actual sense of how we would approach just learning a song.
Right. So I think one thing that we need to start off with first is playing by ear.
Absolutely.
I would suggest learning to play by ear because that just opens up everything, opens up any song you want to learn anytime, whatever. You don't have to have somebody teach you.
Yeah, and another aspect of it is, especially as church musicians, you actually play by ear more than what you would think.
Right.
If you ever played something and thought, that doesn't sound right, that's playing by ear. Even if you can't pick out something, that's playing by ear to some extent. So
that's like step 0. Step 1, I would say you need to listen to the song, and there's some stuff. You need to listen to it as a whole. Listen to the song as a whole. Don't listen to your part.
Yeah, don't try to pick out your part or anything.
The first few times. If you're a musician, don't have your instrument. Don't play with your instrument. If you're a vocal, do not sing the first couple of times. You just listen to it because you're listening to music.
Yeah. And then over the next couple of times after that initial listen, what you'll do is take initial notes. You're going to write down your thoughts on the song's dynamics, where it builds, where it comes down. Identify whether your instrument, whether that's like music side or singing, if it's prominent in the mix. And what I mean by that, especially for singing, is are there a lot of like repeating parts? Are you up like volume-wise, are you up higher than everyone else? That type of thing. Writing down song structure, like whether it goes from intro to a verse or intro to a chorus.
If you don't have like a chord chart or something like that, yeah.
I usually do this before I even look at chord charts. I don't know if
you don't use chord charts.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I do. And this is also the part when I'm taking initial notes. I think Dylan mentioned this last time he was on, but I think this is his part too, where he writes down what he thinks the chord progression is. Before he looks at a chord chart and checks it or anything, he writes down his thoughts on it.
And then step 3, that's when you like determine the key, chords, BPM, that stuff.
Yeah. What time signature it is, that type of thing.
Like figure out the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
And then if we're learning it by ear, I would always check for resources, no matter if you're learning by ear or...
Oh, absolutely.
If you can find a video where somebody explains it,
awesome.
Learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even take 5.
Yeah. So just adding to that last one real quick, when you're finding the key of the song, checking available resources, YouTube, whatnot, you can cross-reference your initial notes in that step. Just checking it, basically. If you don't have a chord chart available, you can. I have it written down, rely on your ear and instincts. But then I also added maybe checking with a friend who is good by playing by ear and knows that song really well, and send them the song, what you think it is, and maybe if they're cool with it, they can check it for you. But step 5, section by section breakdown. This is where you're actually going to start analyzing and figuring out what parts repeat, change, what exactly they're doing in that step. You're identifying chord progressions, rhythmic patterns. You're going to focus on different aspects in the instruments to figure out your part.
And I would say almost before you do that, maybe like step 4.5, listen for your part then. Go back and listen to your part. Whatever you do, guitar, piano, vocals, whatever.
Yeah, mainly focusing on your part. Maybe focus a little bit on the other instruments you hear too.
Yeah.
That way you know kind of how to complement them.
Yeah.
Where exactly you're going to come in and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Which that's also part of the section by section breakdown, I think.
Right.
Focusing on the different instruments, how they contribute to the song, how you can help promote that type of thing. Being intentional with that.
Yeah. Step 6. When you learn a part, learn it slow. Don't try to learn it fast. Don't learn it up to speed. Learn it at a slower speed and then slowly bring it up so you have it good.
Yeah. You picked out the part and then start practicing it.
Yeah, you need to practice your parts. Find sections that are difficult. Go back through. Get those until you get them good.
Yeah, start extremely slow and increase it a little bit at a time. Speed-wise?
I know there was a song that I was picking out for fun. It took me like 3 months because I couldn't find it by ear. But once I got it, I still had to slowly practice that.
Yeah. And maybe when you're learning songs, it is just for fun. You're learning it for fun. Or maybe you have a service that's coming up and you have to know it for the service. What I would suggest, and I'll come back to this probably in the next step, but aim to play as close as you can to the original. There are going to be some parts you change just because of how you play, your particular expression on your instrument, that type of thing, but try to play as close to the original as possible. You can think of it as those guys are pros, and I know I'm not.
But don't be locked into only the original.
Yeah.
It's still what you're doing. Make it your own. If they do something that you can't, which I've run into that for me for doing songs. They did something that I couldn't. Take me forever to learn how to do that. So I just made it my own. I adapted to it.
Yeah, for sure. But step number 7, I think the last step is memorizing and then adapting it. So that by this point, you've learned the original. You know what the original player is doing. I call him player, musician, or singer. But you've learned what they're doing on that original song. And you're going to work towards fully memorizing it. And I say memorize it. I know some people don't like to memorize.
I would say memorize it because there is a song that I'm specifically thinking of called Joy to the World by Motown that me, my brother, I think Dad did it with us. We played it for Christmas one year, and in typical musician fashion, we crammed. Like the night before, we learned it.
We didn't realize how hard it was until we sat down and tried to cram it the week of.
Yeah, we crammed it the week of. We played it great.
We did.
Week after, couldn't play a single part of it.
I think we could all do the intro. That was about it.
That's the only part we could do.
The intro was like one note, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah.
A couple of small runs, but not bad.
Yeah.
But another reason why you want to memorize, other than just retaining it, is you're going to be able to worship better.
Right.
It's going to help you with your intentionality.
If you're not worried about what's coming next,
yeah,
that opens you up so much.
And you're able to read the room.
Right.
Know, okay, is the next fill that I was planning to do, is that appropriate for this next moment?
Yeah.
Is it going to help the moment, or is it going to help my ego?
Right.
make me look good. That's another reason why you want to fully memorize, or at least memorize as much as you can. There's going to be some things you may not be able to, but for the most part, you are good. And then be flexible. Adapt to what your band or your particular church needs and that arrangement.
Right. Don't be stuck to original only.
Yeah, because I know not only with everyone has their own limits and their own limitations, but some churches, you might have two churches that can play this exact same song, but one church for that city needs to play one part 5 times the same way.
Right.
Every time they play that song versus the other one, they might skip that one just because of their churches and their cities' needs.
Well, and sometimes you do have to adapt because of band.
Yeah.
Like I know when we had first started, we had adapted almost every song we learned because we had a piano player, a drummer, and a guitarist. That's all we had.
Yeah, and the drummer sucked.
No. But then we got, the bass, filled in more space, and then everybody else was able to take a step back.
Yeah, and started adding in smaller things like loops and a little bit of multi-tracks. We don't have that many.
I would say at least play with a metronome.
Yeah. And that's another thing, is building that into practice time.
Mm-hmm.
I know we kind of touched on that, but not much. So let's do a recap. So you have the process. Listen.
Without anything.
Yeah, just listen to it, just to listen. Take notes. You're going to break it down technically, the BPM, time signature, maybe find the key.
And then you will check for resources, anything you can find, YouTube videos, sheet music, chord charts, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you want to break it down section by section, start playing it with your instrument or sing it, whatever you want. And then you need to learn your part, learn it right. Yeah. And then
memorizing and adapting.
Yeah.
As the end step there.
Yeah. And always challenge yourself with new songs.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
Doing them.
Yeah.
Find a song that you want to do
because you can use parts of that in what you're already doing.
Yeah. You might be able to take one fill from that song and use it in 12 different songs that you already play for your church.
All right. And you guys didn't know this, but we have a guest with us in the studio.
Special unannounced guest.
He is a young man in our church. He's a fantastic drummer. His name is...
a year and a half-ish?
Yeah, something like that. His name is Chase. And...
Yep.
And we asked him if he'd sit in and see if he had any questions to ask so we could answer those live. Do you have any questions for us? You don't have any questions about learning? You think we covered it well?
Yeah. He's probably low on the recording there. I don't know if you guys could hear him or not. Another resource real quick. I know we have an episode that we talked about resources that we use.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're learning stuff like CCM, especially like elevation worship, they're resources that they give them out. Like I don't think they sell their chord charts.
And I think a lot of elevation stuff, I know for guitar.
Yeah.
Like, because I've looked at this for guitar, a lot of the guitarists, the originals, do a YouTube video on how to play that song.
That's what I was going to say. And like keys, there's tutorials, elevation posts, like tutorials, drum covers, tutorials, that type of thing.
But if you can't find any of those type of resources, you could always go to Chordify, which we mentioned in a previous episode about the apps. It'll give you 95% of the time, it gives you very accurate chords and key time. It lets you play along with the song.
And so that was another tremendous one.
Yeah. If you can't find resources, there's one for you. If the song's on YouTube, it's on Chordify. So
yeah. And then maybe on the next one, we'll share some statistics. I know our numbers went down in our hiatus.
Oh, probably because we stopped recording.
So maybe we'll share a couple of those. I will say another learning growth on my part is on Spotify, at least, I found out how to reply to people's comments.
Did we have any?
We had one, and I replied to that from the podcast standpoint, and I figured out how to post polls and stuff. So if you are on Spotify or on another platform and you want us to comment back to you, or you want to answer a poll,
You have
Spotify, because that's the only place that I know of right now. I'm still trying to figure out everything else.
But we will, in the part 2, we will be actually learning a song on the show for you guys. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. Stay tuned. Come see us next week for that part 2. Actually see us try to break something down. We're still trying to decide what song. But share this episode, comment, like, subscribe, and we will see you next week.